favorites and the SEC. A look at today's keys to the game, all brought to you by Lending Tree.
Yeah, they've got to be able to throw the football. They brought in Chip Lindsey, offensive coordinator, trying to balance out this offense. They've got to get that passing game working. It was stagnant the last couple of weeks, especially last week against Clemson. And they got to get their running backs healthy. They have to find somebody to step up in that backup role to give them some consistency in that running game, especially here today.
With more on the Tigers, let's head down to the third member of our team, Gabe Gross. Gabe.
Hey guys, everybody knows, and Gus Malzahn says all the time, the game is won in the trenches. Well, Auburn right now leads college football in giving up 14 sacks. They have got to get better at defending the pass and give Jarrett Stidham a little more time to go out and complete passes. Right now, it's been a struggle for the Tigers all year long.
Hard to believe what has happened over the first two. 11, as you mentioned, 14 over the first two, and that's after Brian only giving up 19 sacks all of last season in 13 games.
It's got to be frustrating, especially Gus Malzahn bringing in Chip Lindsey, wanting to see a rejuvenated offense, and it just hadn't materialized.
So Auburn won the toss. They are going to receive homecoming weekend, and great to have you with us on the SEC Network. Going to be kicked away by Cole Fisher as Javaris Davis waits back deep over to the near side. Fisher, the junior from Walnut Grove, Georgia. Now can he kick it out of the end zone and eliminate the speed that Auburn possesses? Instead, a little bit of a pooch over to the near side that's going to head to the boundary and out of bounds. Well, Jarrett Stidham, third career start at Auburn, and already great field position. It was a battle for him, and we talked to Gus Malzahn yesterday, his head coach, about
kick out of bounds on the kicking team, number 98. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Let's see if the clock's a little bit better for Stidham today in releasing the football and knowing when to throw it away.
He had such expectation coming into this season. It's really not his fault, but when you have expectation, you have to see performance.
Petway is in the backfield on the play fake, and a quick fire over the far side is complete to Ryan Davis, the junior from St. Petersburg, had a good gain of about 8 on first down. Good high percentage throw.
And we're going to see that tempo early. Gus Malzahn talked about it this week. They need to get back to that tempo offense that they're used to.
It's Petway. He's got more than enough for the first down across the 50. As he crosses into the 49-yard line for a gain of 8. The challenge for Mercer is it matching up the physicality in the trenches.
Without a doubt, and Petway, guy who was hurt last week, nice to see him out of the gate early.
Stidham with a ton of time, and very wisely. We talked about throwing it away and eliminating the sack. He did it there out of the pocket, back to the line of scrimmage. Starting lineups all brought to you by Jimmy John's. We talked about Stidham. Petway is the rock-solid guy in the backfield. Missing Kerryon Johnson today. Davis is the speed guy. Whether it's Hastings or Davis, look for both 23 and 33. Slight delay. Petway, medical line, no gain. And dropped right at about the 49-yard line. The first series, when you're going in as a Mercer Bear, okay, an FCS school into the 11th largest venue as we look at the starting defensive lineup, and Isaiah Bueller is their go-to guy. Second team all-conference pick last year. Let's see if they hold up well on the first series in particular, Brian. Long count that time. Ton of time. And a first down. Hitting Nate Craig Myers. Good pushing on the outside.
It's just nice to see Stidham getting the football and being able to release it. He's obviously being able to go to his first read. We need to see how he works on his second and third progression.
Case, they're going with it. And the ball's out. It's recovered by Mercer. Put down on the ground after the completion to Kyle Davis. And right away, talk about a pick-me-up for the Bears of Mercer. Take the ball away.
And Davis needs to come up acting like that wasn't a catch. But they're going to call it that way. Looks like he made an athletic move. And then he had the ball pulled down. Very good job by Mercer. Have to have turnovers. Win the turnover battle is usually where you come out with the victory, Joel. And Mercer obviously going to have a really tough challenge with this Auburn football team, but turnovers will certainly help and swing momentum.
So now Mercer takes over on the takeaway at their own 25. Little play fake action, swing it to the motion man. And T. Mitchell gets very little, in fact, just barely back to the line of scrimmage, if that. Maybe lost a yard on the play to the 24. Kalen Riley's a great story. From an athletic family. In fact, his mom, Michelle, played basketball at Clemson. An hour away where he played his high school football. An hour away from Macon and Calhoun, Georgia. And even though he's a redshirt freshman. And this is just his third career start.
Yeah, he's young. He struggled in the second half of that Wofford game. He needs to get a couple of throws under his belt to settle him in.
Nothing doing up the gut for T. Mitchell once again, the junior from Jacksonville. Led the Bears in rushing last year.
And we talked about the middle of that Auburn defense. That's tough sledding for any football team, especially these Mercer guys coming in here trying to hit them between the tackles early. And we're seeing how difficult that really is, that run game that is just full of big men down in those trenches. And along with Brown, we got Russell and Holland. Holland, one of their older juniors.
Riley popped around, and the grab is good in front of Javaris Davis. It's complete for Urban, Marquise Urban, but it looks like it's going to be short of first down, and it will be.
And great coverage. They did this last week to Clemson. Man coverage all night long last week, and we'll see it again today. Every throw was contested last week, Joel, and you really had to fit him in there. They did a good job right there. Riley did of fitting it in and then making space. Curtis did on the little hook route.
Into punt, Grant Goupil, a true freshman. How does he handle it? Kind of a big venue after playing high school ball in Lake Mary in Orlando. And Stephen Roberts back to get it. Beats a man on the outside. Can he turn the corner? No. Good play downfield from Mercer. And a big special team stop at the defensive back, Eric Jackson. So, the Tigers getting ready to get it back. We'll talk about the dormant rivalry between these two teams. They get together finally once again. These two teams and schools used to get together frequently, but it was early in the last century. In fact, Mercer has not had football for 73 years until that man generated the program once again. Drake Field in Auburn, Alabama. That's where they last matched up in 1922. So it's been a while. It's 5 years now that Mercer has put football back into one of their programs. And that's great news for all of us. The little flanker screen was taken away on the outside, so Stidham makes something out of nothing because, boy, that was all bottled up on the wide side of the field. And they read that beautifully. It's still a gain of 6, though, for Jarrett Stidham.
Eric Jackson, their cornerback on that side, did a very good job of stifling that quick screen.
So they go to the opposite side. It's complete to Ryan Davis. He's going to be short of the first down. Good pursuit to the ball. As it's at the 34. Need to take it across the 36. Pace, tempo. And how many plays can you get in a game?
They're getting the ball out of Stidham's hand pretty rapidly, but we're not seeing any yardage on those completions. We need to see more of that middle range and that vertical passing game that we talked about in the open.
Petway stays in the backfield. Only need 2 if they want Petway. He's waiting over the middle. Stidham holding on to the ball once again. Now can he run for it? Right at the marker, and I think they're going to give it to him. Should be across the 36. So the struggles for Stidham and the passing game and that clock that he has going on.
And we just saw a good example of that. Lee Bennett, their inside linebacker for Mercer, was sitting right there, and Stidham was looking to hit the dig route, and he just held on to it too long instead of pulling the trigger and fitting it in that tight window.
Get the first down by the length of the football. It's Petway, met by the backer. And boy, low man wins there. That was a big-time hit by Kyle Williams, the senior from Lilburn, Georgia.
Yeah, he was a little too low, Joe. He put that head up. We don't want to be going to the hospital tonight.
It'll be 2nd and 8 from the 39. Steamy day in Auburn, Alabama. That way again. Well, they're a run-pass option team. A lot of runs so far as we check in once again downstairs with Gabe Rose. Gabe?
Yeah,
talked to Kevin Steele before the game started. After walking around the field a little bit, he said he went around and told all of his assistants, get guys ready to get in the game. We're going to sub early and often.
That needs to be the case on a day like today. And off the fingertips of a wide open Eli Stowe, the sophomore from Niceville. Now, it was a hot pass, but Brian, got to make the grab, don't you?
Yeah, that was just slightly inside, and he did put some mustard on that ball, had some heat on it. But you got to make that catch. Very, very nonchalant about it. Have to be very specific in what you're trying to do out in that football field. Every little bit that you do affects the football game, either positively or negatively.
There have been some upsets already today in college football. Just ask the people up in Nebraska. The punt, a good one for Ian Chandler. Chandler Curtis with a fair catch. And the Bears of Mercer, Macon, Georgia, will get it back for a second time. It's scoreless so far. SEC football continues on ESPN. Welcome back once again to Jordan-Hara Stadium. Day of college football continues. Our SEC Saturday night games presented by Holiday Inn Express. We've got Kentucky taking on the Gamecocks at Williams-Brice Stadium. 7:30 Eastern for that kick. And then on SEC Network alternate channel, don't forget, Samford is going to be in Athens taking the 13th ranked Bulldogs. So go to secnetwork.com/channel. Both are also streaming live on the ESPN app. Joel Myers, Brian Kitchen, Gabe Gross. We are back. And this is some kind of sight. Auburn, Alabama. Little dump off, and it works. Running back up to the 20 as T. Mitchell has it. Safe play, safe, almost like a running play. A high percentage play, and Brian about 5 on that.
Smart call. I like that call. The little quick screen. Auburn was sitting back in cover 2, not in man coverage for the first time all night, and they took advantage of it, gaining about 6 on the play.
So T. Mitchell, the single in the backfield. Kalen Riley at 6'3", 222, redshirt freshman. And they're all tied up. What a grab on the sideline. How about Marquise Irvin with that? How did he ever come up with it? That was a wrestling match.
Great focus. It looks like his foot steps out of bounds before he makes that catch.
Yes. That'll be reviewed.
But a very good effort with the one hand. And you talk about being contested. He had his hands all over him, but he still did a good job of coming up with the football. You need to make plays like that, especially in an arena that you're not used to. Got to come out and play football. Coach Lamb talked about that all week. We have to do what we do best.
Didn't need to review it. They said it was incomplete. They recognized it as well. Moving the pocket by design, available, and a big game past the 30. That's their tight end that catches it, Sam Walker. Their other tight ends, the big blocking tight end, Chris Ellington, and a well-executed play. And unfortunately, down on the play is the D-back, Jeremiah Denson, getting up a little gimpy. So you look at the Bears and their starting offensive lineup with their 3 wide receivers set. Utilize the tight end there. And experience up front. They've got a couple of seniors, Marchman and Yates, along the offensive line. But T. Mitchell is their leading rusher from last season. A junior from Jacksonville. Averaged 5.5 a carry last year, or 2 years ago rather. 945 overall. Fake the toss. Go that way on a little lateral. And it's T. Mitchell again for a couple.
If Riley could have held that ball just a second longer, he had his tight end, Walker, who he just threw the ball to in the previous play, wide open in the middle of the field. He's a little frustrated not to see that.
Deshaun Davis, second-year starter out of Pritchard, Alabama. He's the guy that they say is the bright guy, kind of a coach on the field for them. And as you see, somebody starting assignments, a veteran at 5'11", 245. It'll be second and long. Little counter action and a good hole over to the right side. Closed in a hurry, though, near the 39. T. Mitchell on the carry.
And that's what Bobby Lamb said they were going to try to do, that inside zone, even though that was more of a counter. To try to get their double team down on those big guys in the middle that we talked about in the open, and try to get some leverage and get some movement to where they can run that football between the tackles. You have to be able to establish that to make everything else in your offense viable.
So they went 3 and out with a punt on their first series. Now trying to extend the drive. Little slip inside to the tight end. They're H-back, and he's got the first down across the 45 all the way up to the middle of the field. That's Sam Walker. He was set up in kind of an H-back position along with T. Mitchell.
And that's where you'll see him a lot in the ball game. And I love the originality of the shuffle pass and getting the tight end involved. The tight end has been a lost position in college football. And being a former tight end, that's frustrating. So it's nice for me to see this happening here today. We've seen it in their first couple of football games. Walker's just a very efficient guy, not only catching the football, but also as a blocker.
He's a junior from Cumming, Georgia. 24 catches last year. On the take, Kalen Riley. Not much. Maybe a yard, yard and a half for the redshirt freshman.
And every team has their first 15 plays, Joel, that they think are going to work best against the defense they're facing. But I am loving the originality of their offensive coordinator, Casey Vaught. Just very original, thinking through this plan and trying to get the ball moving any way he can. And surprising that they're getting first downs just consistently.
Out of the gun. Plenty of time on the play clock. It'll be second and long. Fake it to Mitchell behind Walker. Man, good play in the open field by Jeremiah Denson. Boy, he showed up on film a lot against Clemson. With more on Kalen Riley. Let's head down to Gabe Gross. Gabe.
Yeah, Coach Bobby Lamb thinks he's got a really good one in Kalen Riley, and he had a little help getting him on campus. Kalen Riley went to Calhoun County High School, and oh, by the way, Coach Lamb's brother, Hal, is the head football coach. His brother-in-law, Michael, the offensive coordinator. His sister-in-law is the guidance counselor. His sister is the tennis coach as well as a teacher. And his son, Taylor Lamb, was a teammate of Ryland, and now the quarterback at Appalachian State.
Over his shoots, Marquise Irvin on a third down after converting twice on third down on this drive. So talk about inside knowledge on a player.
Kinfolk deal.
That's
right?
great. That is just great.
That's the epitome of it right there. And obviously just a huge blessing to have a kid like that at your brother's school, and just a no-brainer recruit to be able to get him to your school and to be able to have such an effect early in his career as a redshirt freshman is even more of a positive.
And he was recruited, by the way, by Middle Tennessee, South Alabama, so he's legit talent. There's no question about that. We've already seen that early today. Little pooch over to the sideline. Field position is going to be so important for Mercer, so a good job there by Grant Goupel. Tigers get it when we come back, but deep in their own territory, and it's scoreless at Auburn.
All ESPN coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Well, they're fanning themselves and they're using their phones because they've also got the ESPN app. As we welcome you back once again to Auburn, Alabama. About 90 degrees, humidity is up, little drizzle right before kick. Didn't cool things off though. It's going to be Cameron Petway over the right side for about 4 out to the 19. And we welcome you back once again to Jordan Hare on the campus of Auburn University. It's one of the great atmospheres in all of college football. And Brian, we're lucky because we're here. Parents weekend.
Look what we got here, Joe. We got tight ends.
Hard to believe.
On the other side of the football. I like that.
And it went for a yard.
What are you trying to say?
21-yard line. It's going to be third down. You know, you are biased. If you don't know, Brian Kinchin, a longtime tight end in the NFL after his great days at LSU, a Super Bowl champion at the end of your career as well.
Yes, sir.
So you have no bias and you're totally objective when it comes to tight ends.
Yes, sir.
3rd and 4. Pocket holds up well. Plenty of time for Stidham all day, in fact. And that was probably his 6th look as he went over to Eli Stove over to the far side. But what a luxury.
Yeah, he had a lot of work down the field, a lot of vertical routes, and he had that one open early, but he got off of it quick, trying to get something more out of it, went back to it, fortunate to have that time.
It's a dead ball foul. Ball start. They had trips over to the near side where there are enough guys on the line.
Ball starts on the offense. All 11 players were not set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
And they were pointing a finger at Sal Cannella over to the near side. Big number 80. So mark off 5, and it's going to be 1st and 15. Again, great pocket protection. No pressure at all. And wide open. It's complete to Will Hastings. He's got it across the midfield stripe. He's their speed guy, a small guy from Little Rock at 5'10", 165. But man, can he burn. He can fly.
Trey Matthews, their free safety, number 28, calls him White Lightning. Faster than anybody on the team.
That's under their second pass play of better than 20 yards this year. Petway breaks the first, gets outside. He's got a first down. All the way inside the 25. He's a bruiser at 6', 235 pounds, a junior from Montgomery. We saw that last week. Tough yardage, but he got it against Clemson.
And he had a heel injury off of that game, and then we weren't sure we would even see him this afternoon, but it's good to see him healthy and running again.
Going fast. It's complete inside the 20 as it's taken in by Cannella.
And Cannella, he's listed as a wide receiver, but he's 6'5", 228. That's a big target. Hard to miss him.
He's long. He's in the slot. Over to the far side with Stove and Hastings. And it's going to be a keeper for Stidham. So on second and about 4, he only gets a yard down to the 17. Big third down coming up for the Mercer D early in this first quarter.
And we don't see that very often. He can run the football, but it's not something he does very often, and not overly effective at it. Obviously, they're not being able to get out to the edge, but good to have that. If you don't keep that ball every now and again, then that read option doesn't mean anything, Joe.
Barrett in for the first time, and Devin Barrett is going to get a touch right away to the 10, tripped up, and he goes down with the 1st and goal at the 8. He's a true freshman from Tampa, and they talk about this guy like the real deal down the road. He's that quick.
Yeah, he was a guy Chip Lindsey had a lot of praise for. Said we might see him in the ball game. Great future for this young man. And it's nice to get him in a game like this and get him some touches, get him comfortable.
1st and goal from the 8. That way. He's straight up the gut. Inside the 5, down to the 4. The final 75 seconds of the first quarter.
And you really got to give it to Mercer's defense in the middle. They run that 34 defense, and their coach calls it a slant angle D. They attack, and they've done a good job inside the tackles.
That way, he's in. Touchdown, Auburn. It was an 85-yard drive, most of it through the air. So Cameron Petway, the junior from Montgomery, first team All-SEC last year, with the first points of the day. And they get ready for the point after with Carlson, who's made him forever here.
Yeah, a guy who holds so many records, 13 I think it is, for Auburn kicking.
It's out of the hold of Stovall. They've done it a few times together, and that's 147 consecutive extra points nailed by Daniel Carlson, the senior from Colorado Springs. Petway, the workhorse for this team, gets it done again, and the Tigers have an early lead. That's very efficient drive and pocket protection, the key. The offensive line did an exceptional job. And we welcome you back once again to Auburn, Alabama. Joel Myers, Brian Kitchen, Gabe Gross. So they had hardly any. They only had a couple of plays better than 20. And 2 on the last drive. So they're up to 7 now. Moving the meters. Chandler Curtis waits, but well out of the end zone on the kick. Well, tonight, SEC Now is going to be there after the games. Comprehensive recap of the day, in-depth analysis, the biggest plays from around the SEC. As we get ready for Week 3, all the college football today, this afternoon, tonight. Big one. In fact, we'll talk about Clemson and Louisville a little bit later. No one covers the SEC like we do. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. So after the touchback, Mercer gets it a 3rd time at their own 25. Put it back into play with 1:03 left in the first quarter. Leggett takes over in the backfield. And we saw T. Mitchell. And now it's the junior from Sewanee, Georgia. Man, it's going to be a toss to T. He was back there anyway, and he loses about a yard. Push him out at the 24. The sideline-to-sideline speed more than anything else. We talked about this with Kevin Steele extensively yesterday in our meeting, Brian. It's pretty amazing how good this defense looks over the first 2+ games this year.
It's just hard to match what they offer. They have so much size and speed that you really have nowhere to go with the football running it. And we look right there when Mercer trying to run that option, that pseudo option, it's just not going to work against the speed and the size that Auburn has on defense.
Running the wide receiver in motion, go the other way with it. And a big gain across the 35 for a first down. That is C.J. Leggett on the carry at 5'9", 215. So a nice little counter move there. But this is how good it's been over the first 2 weeks of the season for the Auburn defense.
Yeah, they didn't really miss a whole lot of a beat last year using Montrevious Adams and Carl Lawson. 13.5 sacks between those two guys, but they look like they're just reloading and moving on.
Alert play by Leggett. Didn't run himself out of the play, Brian. I like that. And altered his course for an extra couple of yards. Gets 4 on first down.
And we talk about reloading, and Kevin Steele was very in-depth about that last night, how this is not like the NFL where you can offer him a contract and keep him around longer than 3 years. They're 3 years and done sometimes.
So that's the challenge for the Bears of Mercer. They've hung tough so far as we continue on homecoming weekend. Into the first quarter, War Eagle. Tigers up by 7. Welcome back once again, and what a weekend it is to be in Auburn, Alabama. Homecoming weekend, 91st edition of football at Auburn on homecoming weekend. Homecoming goes way beyond football games, so it's better than 100 years there. And on the first play, Leggett beats him in the backfield. Looked like a loss of a couple. Instead, it's going to be a gain of a couple across the 42 out of the 44. Working and coordinating the defensive unit for the Auburn Tigers. Upstairs, it is Kevin Steele, and it's safe to say he's one of the most experienced in all of college football. A guy that's worked for some of the best head coaches and Hall of Fame head coaches in the collegiate ranks as well. And we appreciated his time yesterday. Been around and understands, and don't forget he was a head coach at Baylor for a few years as well.
He's a great storyteller. He had a ton of them. Kept us busy for a while.
Now, can they get a stop on third down? Leggett beats the ankle tackle, and he spun around with a first down across the 50. Now, while we talk about Kevin Steele, thinking about the guys he started with, Johnny Majors, Bobby Bowden, and Tom Osborne, Dom Capers as well in the NFL. Then later in his career with Nick Saban, Dabo at Clemson, and most recently Les Miles at LSU.
Yeah, that's quite a coaching resume to be under and have learned from, and just remarkable to hear his philosophy on how he works with these kids. You expect him to be an old school kind of yell in your face guy, but he's not.
No, far from it. Little inside toss to the tight end. Didn't work. Didn't fool anybody that time. A great recovery by Clemson. Sam Walker is put down. It's interesting what you talk about, though, as we watch that play that went for no gain. The key for him is being positive, making sure, even if it was a breakdown on the previous play for Kevin Steele and his group, that doesn't linger. Get ready for the next play.
Next play mentality, just be able to have a short memory and move on, and don't worry about what you just did.
On second down, throw in traffic and batted down as he went for Walker once again. And a good play by Richard McBride, the strong side backer, the sophomore from Troy, Alabama.
Yeah, it's safe to say that the tight end was a heavy part of this game plan coming into Auburn, and Walker's getting a lot of targets.
So you should be delirious.
Yes.
Yes. What it boils down
and
to.
I am biased, but I do believe it is one of the most effective positions in football. The mismatches you can get with linebackers and safeties and pass routes.
It'll be T. Mitchell. Quick one on the outside. And what a tackle on the outside as well by Deshaun Davis. Otherwise, I think he gets the first down. Good play by the middle linebacker. Boy, sideline to sideline.
Yeah, Davis, real rangy. Kevin Steele said he's in the top 5% of guys that he's coached, and his intelligence level, his football knowledge. He said one day he had him out there calling the defense, and Kevin Steele was just sitting back, and he was calling it exactly like he would have. He said that is very rare that you get a guy like that who has that kind of intelligence at the college level.
Stephen Roberts is going to wait back for the Goupil punt. True freshman. Punting before 87,000. Had a good job on the end over end. Not high enough, though. And an opportunity, but a big-time play on special teams. Outstanding effort. That was Trevante Easley. Well, the linebacker making the stop on specials. Well, the defense coming up big on that third down play, and especially one of their leaders, Deshaunte Davis. Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern. Latest Thinking Out Loud, all presented by Regions Bank with Greg McElroy, Marcus Spears. They're going to be talking about all the football news of the week, both sides of the ball. Want your participation via social media, live call-ins throughout the show as well. And it's also available streaming live on the ESPN app. Penetration in the backfield. Yeah, what a play as Petway is put down. Exceptional play defensively by LaMarcus Bailey, the outside backer. So Stidham, good start. He's had all day to throw the football, and he spread it out accordingly.
Yeah, you like to see that. He's had a lot more time this week, obviously, than he did last week.
Petway to the original line and maybe an extra yard up to the 18. One of the keys coming into me was field position, especially when it came to Mercer. And the last three drives for Auburn have started with their own 16, 15, and 26. And that's going to be critical for Mercer just to hang around in this game. They're down by 7 early. All right, to put Auburn in a 3rd and 10. Trips to the wide side of the field for the Tigers. Plenty of time again. Now it starts to collapse. Will they get to the marker? Right at it. And they put him down to the 25, short of the first down. So Davis on the grab. Ryan Davis, a sophomore from Dade City, Florida. Or Ryan Davis, a junior from St. Petersburg, actually. Cramping. Not surprised if that's the case right now for Kyle Trammell, who's down for Mercer. Sun is out on a very warm day in Auburn. So while they look at Trammell, we'll do the same with the timeout on the field. 4th down coming. A punt as well for the Tigers. Ian Shannon, the punter, sophomore from Marietta, Georgia, on the field to kick it away. Back deep, Chandler Curtis. Shannon, part of a really exceptional program here that we'll get into in just a moment on the Auburn campus. But that's a 3 and out before we broke away. So another good job done by Mercer to hold up defensively against a very physical offensive group from Auburn. Shannon, short one over to the near side. It'll go out of bounds, and best field position by far to start a drive. Well, Clayton Holmes is bringing you a look at how Auburn fans have it made. And the young man we're just talking about, he's part of the program. Punter Ian Shannon, offensive lineman Nick Brahms, kicker Anders Carlson. They're 3 of over 150 professional flight majors at Auburn. This program began back in 1941. Takes place at Auburn Opelika Robert G. Pitts Airport. And last night, alumni, student, faculty gathered to say goodbye to the old facility. Ground has been broken for a new building to be open to the students by next fall, the fall of 2018. And I'd like to thank Chase Morris, John Summer, Bill Hutto, Kurt Reisman, Jen Harrod for their assistance. And Joe McCoy, our producer, up in a Cessna with those guys yesterday with one of our cameramen as Team Mitchell takes it across the left side. And Ben Smith was our cameraman up there. I asked Joe if he signed any waivers. You know, come on, before you went up there.
Well, I was going to ask Gus Malzahn, what happens if there's some type of a problem? You don't have a punter anymore. That's crazy, but I love that program. I wish they had it at LSU. I would have gladly done that. That seems like fun. I certainly wouldn't be falling asleep in class in that one.
Good gain on first down, a little more than 3, almost 4. And on the pitch, T. Mitchell bends it to boundary, close to a first down.
Mitchell carries around left end.
So this is the best field position by far for Mercer to start a drive, the 4th possession of the first half. And It's short of the first down by a yard. Good speed outside.
91 Nick Coe's right there. Defensive end, but just can't make the play. Option run to perfection. And just short of the first down. But I don't know about you, Joe, but I'm a little surprised it's only 7-0 with half of our second quarter already gone. Auburn only scoring on one of their 4 possessions. That being a touchdown is a positive, but nonetheless, expected more.
Need a yard, won't get a yard. Stacked up right at the 45 of Auburn. So they drilled T. Mitchell that time, moved it back. And now a decision to be made. I don't think it's much of a decision, though, because the field position is so important in this game.
Yeah, you need to punt this ball away. Looks like they're debating on the edge there, but looks like the punt team's coming on. Smart decision. 7-point ball game.
Now, what about clock management as well? Using the clock to your advantage and milking it as much as possible.
Yeah, Mercer's advantage is short game, control the football, keep it close, give yourself a chance at the end. But obviously that's not on the agenda of Auburn. I want to see some production offensively. They're throwing the ball better, but it's just not resulting in points.
Over to the far side, Roberts lets it go over his head. And what a grab inside the 5. Special teams play. We talk about the hidden yardage in a game. That is huge for Mercer. It's going to be back at the 4-yard line. Eric Jackson got down there to cover it for the Bears. So as you point out, Auburn, who gets it now, deepest field position to start a drive. Let's see if they open it up, even though it's deep in their own territory, and start to pick things up a little bit more.
Well, we were promised that yesterday from Chip Lindsey. He said we are going to go out and play football. We're not going to hold anything back. The breadth of our entire playbook will be at our disposal, but we just haven't seen that running game working very effectively inside the tackles. In the passing game, even though they're converting, they're not getting down the field and scoring.
And now dangerous territory. Ball security at a premium. Gain of about 5. Petway up to the 9. So you can understand playing it safe this deep in your own territory.
But it's got to be frustrating for Chip Lindsey to not see productivity.
They forced him back inside. He takes a smack, but he's got the first down across the 14 up to the 15-yard line.
We've seen that a couple of times, even on that last series on 3rd down. He has plenty of time to throw the football, but he had 4 wide receivers in routes previous, and no one is open. And you can't throw a football if you have nowhere to throw it. These receivers need to do a better job on the edge of making some room.
They stack 2 over to the near side, running to the opposite side for a short gain across the 17 up to the 18-yard line for a gain of about 2.5 yards.
And Mercer is not a man-to-man defense. They are a zone blitz team where they will stay back. They don't want to get in your face and play man. That's not what they do. But yet still, Auburn's receivers can't find those gaps and those holes to give Stidham a chance to get him the football.
Unfortunately, our big right tackle appears, it looks like it's from this angle, Darius James, the senior from Killeen. Transfer out of the Longhorns program at Texas. We talked about a steamy day. That doesn't look like a cramp, though. So will they open things up a little bit as they get better field position? We've got a time on the field, hopefully the best for this young man. We'll give you an update on Darius James when we come back to Auburn, Alabama. Yeah, head coach Gus Malzahn and some of his staff out there. The concern continues for Darius James here. So we welcome you back once again to Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. And now our fingers are crossed for this young man. So it's a running play over to that side of the field. He's the right tackle. And that's their experience on that side of the line, because next to him, Braden Smith, second team All-SEC last year. But the concern continues. Both teams on the field.
Yes, you don't like to see the cart. You don't like to see the head coach.
And it's very rare in this ballpark, 11th largest in college football, where you can hear a pin drop. And that is the case right now. Same concern by the opponent. You saw the Bears from Mercer. And they're even closer on that side of the field. So they're going to take their time. And one of the most famous doctors in sports medicine, Dr. James Andrews, is over there right now. As you see him to the far left of your screen with the white hat, blue tie.
Right there he goes, right there.
So some of the best in the world are here. The attention's going to be there for Darius James. And a look at what looked like an innocent play, but far from it.
Yeah, here we go right here. 96, he's blocking him on the play. Hard to see much there.
No. No, we're not going to speculate.
Yeah, you just never know.
So a delay for a good reason. And now we all cross our fingers and say our prayers for that young man. First time these two teams have gotten together since 1922. Been a long time, but Mercer has not had football until the last 5 years. So you could see them talking to Darius. Unfortunately, though, not much movement. So we all cringe when this is the case. And now we can just hope that we get good news over the next hour or two before we leave.
Yeah, you hope it's just precautionary.
So our prayers for Darius James right now as we return to Auburn, Alabama. Welcome back once again. And we remind you the ESPN app, your best friend. Stream every ESPN ABC college football game live at home, on the go. You know how it works. You'll get access to all the scores, news, highlights all season long. Download the ESPN app. Start streaming right now. We welcome you back to Auburn. It's a 7-0 lead for the Tigers. And they're getting everything they want right now, and a lot more than they wanted from the Bears of Mercer, FCS school. But as we found out from Chip Lindsey, as the dump off goes to the running back Barrett, and then he's dumped in a hurry. So he goes across the 20 out to about the 21. Looked like it was going to get him a lot more. Instead, it's going to be third down at about 4.
Yeah, great play by Bailey, their leading tackler. We talked about him early, number 16. Ryan Davis trying to hold him off, but did a great job of shedding the block and coming in and making the stop. Big play here for third down for Auburn. Needs to get a drive sustained and get more points on the board.
Pressure finally on the quarterback, but he throws a bullet. And it's out at the end of the play. Let's see if they call it a fumble. Was he down or not? Nothing from the umpire yet. It's recovered by Mercer. Kyle Davis on the catch. Now, don't forget he put it on the ground before.
It was pretty close.
Is it out before he goes down?
Ruling on the field is a fumble. Recovered by Mercer.
Yeah, it looks like it is, Joe.
It is out.
Yeah, it is out. Another huge turnover. Saw it on the opening drive. Davis, the same thing, late in that when he's coming down with that catch, and do a good job by Mercer. And Bennett ripping that ball out and giving him great field position.
They're going to have it at Auburn's 27-yard line. So by far the best started drive. Their last drive, though, and they didn't capitalize, started at their own 47. And they went 3 and out with a punt. So Lee Bennett, the catalyst from Leesburg, Florida. And now can they make the most of the situation down early by 7? Riley in at quarterback. It's Leggett on his right hip. And a surprise so far in Auburn. He's going for the bundle, and a lot of contact. You got to believe it's pass interference. The D-back on that side, Carlton Davis, never, ever turned around. A junior from Miami, not aware of where the ball was.
Yeah, that hand fighting is great, but unless you turn around.
Interference on the defense, number 6. Penalty is 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Unless you turn around, they're going to call it every time. That's difficult, but they love to put their guys out on an island. And we talked to Kevin Steele. He says, we don't stay back and cover grass. We like to get up into your face and challenge you. And that's what they do, but that's the downside of man coverage. You're not turning and finding that football.
Spread the defense with 4 wide receivers set. Leggett in the backfield. And now Kalen Riley. Big takeaway. Now can they capitalize? Looks over to the sideline for the play call. Leggett, man, he shot down early as he gets it over to the far side. It's taken in over on that side of the field. T. Williams was over there to make the play, but Mercer going in that direction, and Riley shot down.
Yeah, they're 11 for 11 in the red zone this year. 9 touchdowns and 2 field goals. You can't beat that statistic.
Riley still with Leggett. H-back is Walker. Only a gain of about 2. Leggett finds a little crease to the 5. So just nudges it inside the 5. He can get a first down. And close to the 2.
You have to be able to run the football in the red zone. We talked to Gus Malzahn on the other side of the football. He said the exact same thing with their woes last week against Clemson. And we see Mercer do a good job of that again right inside the tackles, a place you don't think they're going to be able to find success with those big boys in the middle. But now they're in a 3rd and manageable 2. But the windows and the distances here get very, very difficult.
Get a first down inside the 2. It's Leggett, and he's put down to the 4. So that time, man, Trey Williams was on top of the situation. Gang tackling as well. You need points, and you got to believe they're going to bring the place kicker into the game. So can they get some points off a turnover? Cole Fisher. Last year, super efficient, 16 for 23, and he hit from 50, so the chip shot from 21. And will they get points off the takeaway? 2 for 3 so far this season. Vanderbilt get a timeout.
Timeout. Mercer, they're first. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Stop it with 5:12 left in the half. Well, with the latest from the locker room on Darius James, the big right tackle, let's head down to Gabe Gross. Gabe.
Yeah, pretty good news for Darius James. He is being taken to East Alabama Medical Center for precautionary reasons and further evaluation, but he does have movement of all his extremities, so doesn't look like it's going to be too serious, but they're taking him into the hospital to evaluate.
Thank you, Gabe. Great news. That is exceptional news.
Yes.
Especially for all the family and friends of Darius James, as Gabe mentioned, movement, all the extremities, but they're going to play it safe, and he is headed to the hospital.
Yeah, you'd rather be safe, precautionary. It doesn't look good up here, but a good report. It was a huge opportunity for Mercer. They took the shot on the first play, got the pass interference, and got it on 1st and 10 on the 12, but Alabama stepped up, stopped them short, but hopefully they'll get 3 out of here. Maintain a perfect record in the red zone this year.
The 21-yard attempt to get on the board. And the hook goes through. Looked like me on the first tee. Man, oh man. That was a whistler. So a 7-3 game now. Auburn up by 4 points off the takeaway as we head to the studio now and check in with Dari, Noka. Dari.
Joel, I was about to use that same line about the golf shot. Dari, Chris Chiz will show you how A&M turned it on in the second half. Florida, Tennessee tight in the swamp. And first half thoughts on Auburn.
Auburn's moving the ball. They're just not finishing drives, Coach.
No doubt about it. I mean, they're just a little bit of a hangover from last week. They'll be fine.
We'll see you at the half for the Auto Owners Insurance halftime report. Joel?
Yeah, I like what Coach said, the hangover from last week. How does that impact a team? And Coach alluded to it, Brian, when you faced the #3 team in the nation, Clemson, in Death Valley, how much does it take out of you? Does that linger?
Well, as a player, I don't know that it's that big a deal. We're one day at a time, one play at a time, one practice at a time. We don't hear the fray. We don't listen to all the noise. Head coaches really aren't like that either. And I'm sure Gus Malzahn is not going to sit there and say, yeah, that's the reason. But, yeah, you can look at it as a whole. You know, coming off of such a big game last week and thinking that this might be not as difficult, maybe an easier opponent, and then really kind of not really making much contact with the ball, to use a baseball analysis early in the game.
Fisher gets into it, and Igbenegini stays in the end zone about 4 or 5 yards back, and Auburn will get it for the 6th time of the first half after the touchback. So let's see what the Tigers can do. Do they diversify their offense a little bit more, mix things up a little bit more as opposed to the straight drop?
Well, they've had those 2 drives that were killed on the turnovers. That's the one thing they need to make sure they can take care of, but just need to be in good positions. Malzahn talked about it last week, getting in 3rd downs that just weren't manageable.
It slips outside. The quick one. Igbenegini collared early, but a good 5 up to about the 30, easily over there on the stop.
And Gus talked about last week in the second half of abandoning the run too early and trying to get more done with the passing game. And it looks like they've tried to throw the ball more this game, but they still haven't been able to establish the consistent run game.
Good kick out block by the wide receiver. Big time block by Kyle Davis, who's put the ball on the ground. Igbenegini with a good gain and a first down of 14 yards. Davis makes the play.
I call that the horizontal passing game, Joel. We need to see the vertical one.
There's a flag and a false start. They want to play with tempo. They want to play with pace.
To the snap, false start, 76 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
It's kind of funny when we talked to Chip Lindsey yesterday. He said they game plan. They don't care if it's an FCS school. As you see him up at the booth with the blue hat. He was downstairs last week, upstairs this week. And he said FBS, FCS doesn't make any difference to them the way they game plan and call. It'll be 1st and 15. Ton of time. And on the wide side of the field, it's complete. It's Hastings breaking a tackle all the way inside the 25. He's the speed guy out of Little Rock. And he is small.
That's a little 7 route on Huza, the corner. He pushes him inside to the post. And Stidham has the time to be able to wait for the corner. Makes a good throw, drops it in.
That way, tripped up just barely after a gain of a couple. And there was a nice seam over to the right side for him. So this drive started back at the 25. A couple of big plays now as they mix things up a little bit. Inside of 4 left in the half. No, Mercer's already got 88 yards of total offense. That's more than Georgia Southern had for the game. They only had 78. Petway. Boy, tough to bring him down.
Yeah, they're slowly grinding away at the middle of that Mercer defense, and that's what's going to play into this, is the difference in the depth of these 2 defenses. Mercer just not as deep. And as we talked to Auburn's defensive coordinator, Kevin Steele, he said they might play 11 guys in their front 4.
Petway needs about 2. He's got about 4 already at a first down inside the 12. So you try to get Petway at 240 pounds. And then what about the size of the offensive line and the way it matches up with the defensive front of Mercer?
You look at those averages, and when those same 3 have to stay in there, snap in and snap out for Mercer, it just gets very difficult. You hear the term worn down. This is the epitome of what it is right here.
Igbenegini diving out of bounds with decent yardage on the same play over to the near side early in the series where Davis sprung him free for about 20.
Big Benigini is a true freshman, a guy that we were promised we might see today by Chip Lindsey, and utilizing his talents. He's very excited about his future here.
8th play of the drive comes up at the 7 of Mercer. Petway puts it on the ground, and Mercer gets it right back. Unbelievable. Looks like Jalen Penn, the recipient of the gift. Or the defensive end on that side. Yes, it is the senior from Powder Springs, Georgia.
They answered all the questions on that drive, Joel. Spread it around, went vertical to the 7 route, out to Hastings. But the one thing that we talked about prior to that series was the turnovers. They've had 2 already. That's the 3rd one. The 3rd one in 6 possessions. Let's do the math on that. 50% of the time when they touch the ball offensively, they're turning it over. That's terrible. That's not a good thing. Chip Lindsey has to be pulling his hair out on this one.
Old expression, their own worst enemy.
Yes. Yes.
From the 9, Kalen Riley, and the offense out there a little bit earlier than they thought. It's T. Mitchell. Slams it straight off the right side, actually. Doesn't get much, maybe a half yard. And you want to get to the locker room. Boy, Mercer goes to the locker room 7-3. They're feeling pretty good about themselves right now.
That's victory for them halfway through this ball game. I don't think anybody would have thought that possible. But the turnovers are just killing them offensively. And really, again, we got to go back to that run game. They're not really establishing the line of scrimmage, and losing their starting right tackle, obviously, James, is a big element on that.
You want to use the play clock. It's inside of 10, barely. Move the pocket. Grab is made up to about the 14. It's taken in over to that side by Avery Ward. His first grab, the senior from Alpharetta, Georgia.
Timeout, Auburn. They're first.
Well, we're going to hear the Auburn University marching band at the break. And you can watch the live performance of the marching band on SEC Network Plus. And he starts streaming right now, in fact, on the ESPN app. So we heard it before the game. Exceptional. Okay. This atmosphere is as good as it gets. And SEC football, it goes without saying. So great football, incredible atmosphere, and homecoming. And they're kind of stunned.
Yeah, it's like there's some empty seats. It's a little bit of a bewilderment, if you will, in the stands here. I don't know that anybody realizes that, as I was talking about earlier, when it was 7-0, now it's 7-3. There's some concern here. And I know for Gus Malzahn and his coaches, they're kind of scratching their heads.
They've got 250 yards of total offense to 93 for Mercer. But 3 will kill you every time. And I'm talking about turnovers in the first half alone. It'll be 3rd and 5. Move the pocket by design and overshoot the tight end to the point where he almost hit the D-back. He wanted Walker. Closest one to it, though, was Stephen Roberts, the strong safety. So a good timeout for Auburn, their first of the half. And now they're going to get the football back in decent field position with Roberts, the safety, going back and around the midfield stripe.
Yeah, good 3 and out for Auburn. Mercer obviously not the greatest answer to that turnover, but nonetheless they're able to punt the ball away, and only a minute 37 left in this game. Can't get out of here into the halftime with only a 4-point deficit, but their defense can step up again.
Good punt this time by Goupel. Backpedaling from the 35 is Roberts, and runs into a man had been blocked early, but right into the tracks of Mercer's Stephen Nixon. A little bit longer field than we anticipated. So Auburn has put it down on the ground each of their last 2 drives. One by Kyle Davis, one by Petway. And now they're going to get it 1st and 10 with 2 timeouts on the board and a minute 27 to play in the half. In solid shape at their own 44. But can they do anything?
This is the opportunity to work that 2-minute offense. You do it every week in practice. It's usually on a Thursday or Friday. You have that period where you work against the number ones on defense and see how good you can execute. But this doesn't get any better than this in a situation like this to work that 2-minute offense.
Timeout, Mercer. They're second. This will be a 30-second timeout.
And as you mentioned, in the college game as opposed to Sundays, you get a stop every time they move the chains anyway. So they've got plenty of time and 2 timeouts. They're looking ahead to some of the other matchups, including SEC teams tonight. LSU, Mississippi State on ESPN at 7 o'clock Eastern. Colorado State, ESPN2 at #1 Alabama. ESPNU has Vandy, K-State. That'll be a really good matchup.
Yeah, that LSU Mississippi State game to me is the one to watch. The last 2 years, that game has been decided by 5 points, and State beat them 3 years ago, and they are playing at Mississippi State. And the Tigers really have a new offensive coordinator as well, and a quarterback, but Etling is still trying to figure it out. It could get interesting for them.
I just hope they feature the tight end for you. It's Stidham, and it's complete. First grab, and first time they've targeted Nate Craig Myers.
Yeah, he's a guy who's only a sophomore. He had an injury-plagued season last year as a freshman, but played only 4 receptions. Expect a lot of things out of him, but haven't been able to see that productivity. Only his 2nd catch of the year.
Gain of 6 on 2nd and 4. Stidham's got time, ton of time. His last option was his running back. Petway stayed in bounds, made a miss, and got an additional 10 with a late flag. So not only the 10, but tag on 15 from the 33, take it down to the 18. That's huge.
Well, that's a good example of something that he didn't have the opportunity to do last week. He was sitting waiting on the dig route with Hastings, and 76. Tagovailoa, the left tackle, was right in his face. He pulled it down, hit the check down.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense, number 16. Penalty is 15 yards. First down.
He gets that pressure right in his face, waiting on the dig, and then pulls it down and hits the check down to Petway. It's a good job, but it's a lot of time, Joel, that he didn't have last week. And against better defenses, he's not going to be able to have that much time on the clock to get rid of the football.
First down after the mark-off at the 18. In the red zone once again. Here comes the heat late, and they get to him. Stidham put down, and it was Lee Bennett, the inside backer, who was 2nd on the Bears in stops last year.
And that's a great example of that zone blitz. They bring that middle linebacker, but they still sit back in zone, and it pays off.
First sack of the day is Stidham. He's got Hastings banged around and put down at the 15. Doing a pinball imitation over there, but hanging onto the football.
And we see Bennett coming right up the middle on the play before on the sack.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
And that's tough, Ryan, because last week, and you and I watched it a couple of times, he didn't get rid of the ball and throw it away when he was outside of the tackle box, where he thought he could beat somebody, whether it was a rush end or a linebacker, and just needed to throw the ball away. That time, that opportunity really wasn't there.
No, and that's the beauty of what they do, Mercer, on defense, is even though they bring that blitz, they still sit back in zone. And on the first play, they got the sack. Second play, Joel, they make the completion to Hastings underneath, but it's a zone. And they come up, they make the stop. They only give up 3 yards and put them in 3rd and 7 now. And this is a huge play for Auburn.
The offensive coordinator upstairs, and as Chip said after the game, because a lot of people wondered what happened last week offensively. Well, first of all, Clemson's one of the best defensive units in the country.
You can't forget that.
First of all,
fact.
right. and then Chip said, I called every play. So fully accountable, and he said, and they moved him upstairs. Let's see if it works a little bit better this week, especially in the second half. Stidham with heat coming. For the sideline, boy, he took a shot, didn't he? He could have run out of bounds. So it's making the prudent decision as he's knocked out at the 12.
Well, I don't get that. They had the 2 receivers to the near side, and they were running a double slant, which is great, but it's 3rd and 7. And even if you complete that ball in zone coverage, you're going to get stopped short. I didn't like the play call. The receivers did not give him anything to throw to. He made the best out of it getting to the edge, but still they're settling for a field goal. And that's just not on the top of the list for Chip Lindsey, I assure you.
It's going to be a 29-yard attempt for Daniel Carlson. You got to get a timeout? Yes, Mercer.
Mercer, their 3rd and final timeout of the half.
And what an advantage to have a kicker like Carlson, who's been a Groza Award finalist each of the last 2 years. A senior from Colorado Springs. So very manageable to get points after they got the stop.
And I don't know. I mean, obviously, my thought process must be a little bit different. But this concerns me. for this Auburn football team. Even if they make this kick to go into halftime with only a 7-point lead against a team like Mercer, who, like you said, is a middle team in the FCS. They played Wofford pretty tough last week. They've been getting some votes for the top 25, but they're not. And so I know for Malzahn and Coach Lindsey and Coach Steele, it's got to be some concern about what they're doing on both offensive and defensive side of the football.
29-yard attempt from Carlson. And points on the board. So it's a short field to begin with. Got it at their own 44. Carlson, who was so good last year, 28 of 32, is now 5 of 7 on the young season. We had a 7-point lead once again for the Tigers, but what you're talking about, encouraging signs once again. The limitations we've seen from Auburn offensively, where they stall or they put the ball on the ground, and then Bobby Lamb on the other side. What they're doing defensively is working. They're keeping everything in front of them.
Yeah, look at those rush yards last game. A little bit more productive today. But the end result is the turnovers have been killing them. The 3 turnovers on the 7 possessions. 2 scoring drives, but just seems uninspired, Joel. Uninspired on both sides of the football for Auburn. And really need to find some leadership to be able to step up. We talked about them in the open. Trey Matthews, you might be hearing his voice as we talked about how silent he is in that locker room at halftime, because they need something to get them going and out of this funk.
Carlson with the line drive. It'll be out of the end zone. Over the head of Curtis. So Mercer now will get it at their own 25 and try to get out of here with 37 seconds left in the half. Only down by 7. And should be able to accomplish that because Auburn's only got 1 timeout left.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see much of the dice being rolled here on this offensive possession by Mercer.
It's a surprise. Absolute surprise. And Mercer, they're not going to overwhelm you offensively. And we just saw Casey Boyd over there, their coordinator. But they've really played under control. They're not beating themselves. Alex Lake's first carry, their most experienced running back, in at the right time, the senior from Noonan, Georgia. And they should not take another snap, and they won't. So that'll do it for the first 30 minutes of play. And a surprise so far. A definite surprise. But Auburn has turned the ball over. They have dominated statistically. But give Bobby Lamb and his group a lot of credit. Hanging tough and making the most, capitalizing. So Mercer is going to have the ball to start the second half. An interesting 30 minutes of play for the SEC's Auburn Tigers, to say the least. So dominating statistically, but not on the scoreboard. So we'll come right back at halftime, but let's check in with the guys in the studio and check back in once again with Dari Noka. Dari. Ready for the start of the second half. Thanks to the guys at the studio, and welcome back once again to Auburn. Tigers by 7, 10-3. We look now at our performance spotlight, all brought to you by Dickies. Got to hang on to the football.
Yeah, they do. They have to protect that ball, and Bailey rips it right out of there. That's what they call a forced fumble, because that ball is forcibly removed from the ball carrier. And it happens again here, and who's their cornerback, number 3, pulls that one right out. But this last one here, there's no excuse. That's just sloppy ball handling. Never really gets it. Petway doesn't. Ball's on the ground. 3 turnovers. Monumental. You can see the head coach there with the attempted high body with Jalen Penn, number 95. And these look great, but here's the one that counts right there, Joel.
So basically 3-1.
That's right.
In yards.
That's right.
And the big 3, unfortunately, 3-0 Auburn when it comes to giving the ball away. Daniel Carlson will kick it away. Mercer's going to have it with Lakes over to the far side. Chandler Curtis over to the near side. So Mercer is going to start the second half with the football. And let's see if there's some adjustments by Mercer. If they saw something they can do offensively. Curtis deep. Manny's going to stay right there. Let's head downstairs, check in with Gabe Gross. Gabe.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Lamb coming out of halftime. He said he loved the way his defense was playing, his defensive front, holding up really well against Auburn and slowing the run down. When I asked him, how do you win this football game? He said, we're going to stay conservative on offense, but we will take shots. So look for Mercer to run the ball a lot and then probably play action over the top.
Thanks, Gabe. And that's funny because you and I were just talking about it at halftime. Let's see if Auburn takes some shots and gets a little more vertical. You called it the horizontal passing game of the first half.
Yes, that's not the thing they're looking for. They need to go vertical, and their vertical guy for Auburn, Slayton, is hurt his ankle a few weeks back and didn't do much last week and this week. But yeah, we need to see that ball down the field.
Fake the toss, go the other way with the tight end screen. Nothing out in front of them. They tried to get the big tackle over there. James, or check that, the tackle on that side, Marchman.
Yeah, that's a tough assignment there, running a screen with only one guy out in front of you. But again, I like the originality of the way they call plays, and they're getting the ball spread around. They're being able to move the football, but just not very productive in the end of first downs and extended drives.
And averaging a little less than 2 yards per first down through this game so far. So now it's going to be 2nd and 10 from their 25. Short side. Nothing there for T.
Yeah, I don't understand that. You're running an option, but you're pitching the football when there's no one to option off of it.
Right.
It makes no sense. That's really not an option. That's just a delayed pitch.
And your left end, Jeff Holland, he runs. He's a basic linebacker at 6'2", 250, and they list him as a left end. He runs like he's maybe a safety. He's that quick.
And Holland is one of those guys who was primarily a pass rusher and had to really learn how to take on the run and play in the run game because he's their buck linebacker. He's on the field all the time now, and so he has more responsibilities than just the previous years of just being a pass rusher.
Blitz came off the edge, put it up, and it was too tall for Curtis. Underneath in the neighborhood, they had Edmund Graham as well. Let's see if they use the middle of the field, though. That's one area they've gone to the boundary frequently in the first half. And I'm referring to Mercer. But when they come back, as he talks it over with a very young quarterback, Kalen Riley. And a versatile young man. Played 3 sports besides football. He was a basketball player and a very good one, a tennis player in high school.
Yeah, I love the analogy where he won the state championship one day and the next day he scored 27 on the basketball court.
Back deep, it's going to be Davis, and Davis has room across the 45 with the flag down on the ground, and so is Ryan Davis. So let's see where the flag is, and that's back by the punter. Ooh, extended, running into.
Yeah, if he didn't hit that plant leg, it's only going to be a 5-yarder, I believe.
And it would look like it was Kyle Davis. Not been a good day for him. 2 on the ground and a penalty.
No. As a player, for me, it was always, you want to be on the coach's list for the things you do well, not the other way around.
Running into the kicker, number 11 on the receiving team. Penalty is 5 yards from the previous spot. Replay, 4th down.
Yeah, and I don't blame Bobby Lamb. Now, he may be burned because they've got big playmakers. Davis, we saw. But still, they had it close to the midfield stripe. So they already had great field position to begin with. And Davis on the flag. So homecoming at Auburn. Man, up by 7. 125 years of football at Auburn University. And just back, we saw Bobby Lamb on the sideline, just 5 years back after 72 years of no football at Mercer.
Loved talking with him the other day. Seemed like a really good guy, good coach, really focused on the right things, trying to invest in those kids and build character in those young men.
Sounded like Kevin Steele, real positive.
Oh, yeah.
2 coaches that are on the bright side.
The previous play is under further review. The ruling on the field was that the runner did not fumble.
Looked like it was down. So they're going to look at it. And did it come out again? Different Davis Ryan, not Kyle. Watch the tail end. Unbelievable.
Another one.
It's out.
Another one.
It is out. And as you can see, it's covered. Picked up.
And we didn't see this.
Got it.
We didn't see this type of ball hawking last week. I don't know if that's something they had emphasized in practice all week, of really trying to swipe that ball, because that's the third one that we've seen that has been forced out.
It looks like Lakes, the running back, working on specials, creates it. And then Nixon comes in from behind and grabs it very alertly. You don't quit. That looks out. And Lakes right away, and he's a running back, a senior that's got almost 2,500 yards on the ground for Mercer, making that play. Interesting, because we thought it was whistled dead, and it was. And they said it was not a fumble on the field, but it may be reversed now.
Yeah, I don't see how you can't, after that footage that we just saw, very clearly out.
So long, warm, steamy homecoming afternoon for Auburn. And too many mistakes. So a lot of game experience for Ryan Davis. In fact, he had more catches than anybody else over the first two. So he's had plenty of touches. 10 catches over the first two games for the Tigers. And the point of emphasis in the locker room, you tell us, it had to be, guys, you could not put it on the ground any longer.
Take care of the football. They were producing offensively. They weren't running the ball great, but they were moving the football. And when we talked about that passing game to the boundary, but this will kill you in any level of football, any sport, when you give balls and opportunities to your opponents that weren't deserved. Now, granted, we can't say that because they did deserve them. They pulled 3 of the 4 of them out.
Yeah, it's Ryan Davis. He fumbled it. Nixon recovered it.
After further review, the ball carrier fumbled the ball prior to being down. It was recovered by Mercer. First down at the 49-yard line.
So Mercer gets it right back on the 4th turnover by Auburn. They didn't move the football last week against an exceptional defensive squad. The Clemson Tigers, the #3 team of the nation, but they didn't give the ball away.
No. And that was the one highlight that Chip Lindsey said, that at least we didn't turn the football over. They must have lost focus during the week preparing for this game. Sticking to fundamentals. It's always, doesn't matter what it is, especially in golf. You got to stick with what the fundamentals of the game.
Yeah, the luxury for Auburn, of course, is the group that just got back on the field. And that's one of the best defensive units in the nation. T. Mitchell finds a big hole. By today's standards for Mercer, that's a big gain. 7, make it 6 on first down.
They're right up the middle off that left side. Jake Laff, their Caleb Yates, their right guard. 65. And Davis on the stop.
It's only 51 rushing yards even after that snap. Breaking tackles, Mitchell again. Big yardage down to the 31. Give him the 30 and a first down. The last thing you want to do is make a team believe in themselves.
Like believe it's possible. Right. Believe that it's possible. And running the football on Auburn's defense was not something we thought was going to happen very frequently. And they were very unproductive in the first half at doing it. But first couple of plays here early, Auburn doesn't have an answer.
Pick up the blitz, middle of the field, and tried to get it inside to Marquise Irvin. Overshot him a little bit, the junior from Huntsville.
And I like that on first down. You take a shot down the field, try to get him in play action, but out on the edge you have Carlton Davis. Those two corners for Auburn are just pretty stout. We talked about it earlier, how well they contested every throw last week at Clemson. And Clemson fit a couple of them in there on those 2 drives that they had late in the first quarter and early in the second. But these corners are for real. They have no problem. Kevin Steele does not, as I've talked about, of putting them out on an island and asking them to do the job of coverage.
You can see it. They're in press coverage right now. Play fake. Riley, nifty and a deceitful move down to the 25. So already in field goal territory. I say that, though, and the one field goal we saw from their place kicker was the duck hook that went through.
Big call here on 3rd down, and we see Walker, number 87, their tight end, who's been fairly productive for him here tonight. When they line him up in that, they've got him in that normal position at tight end, probably in protection this time. Usually like him out wide, but they can work him into the passing game a little bit more.
Move the pocket by design. And you talked about their corners. Big time hit by Trey Matthews, the free safety, the senior from Georgia, and a transfer from the Bulldogs program as well. And there, as we found out yesterday from Kevin Steele, he's their emotional leader. Whether it's an offensive guy or a defensive guy, that's the guy they usually go to. So Matthews the stick, and is it going to be points off a takeaway?
And Matthews' focus this year was to try to be more involved in the passing game. Last year, as a strong safety, was more of a run stopper. He's kind of getting a little more versatile and involving himself in the passing game, as we saw right there out on the edge.
41-yard attempt for Cole Fisher, and a fake. Trying to get to the marker, won't get there. Down, and a gamble that does not pay off, but wild. And what an attempt. So the holder takes off, slowed down right there, and then they couldn't get the block as he was off balance. Tanner Brumbury, valiant attempt, but Auburn gets it right back. Well, our day of college football will continue. Our SEC Saturday night games presented by Holiday Inn Express. Kentucky is going to match up with the Gamecocks at William Bryce Stadium. That's at 7:30 Eastern. And then on the SEC Network alternate channel, we'll have Samford and Athens between the hedges taking on the 13th ranked Bulldogs. Go to secnetwork.com/channel. Both are also streaming live on the ESPN app. Joel Myers, Brian Kinch, and Gabe Gross, welcome back to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Good play on the outside. Ryan Davis thought he had more room to turn the corner, but an exceptional play outside again. LaMarcus Bailey showing up a lot, isn't he? The outside backer, senior from the Atlanta area.
We're seeing why he's the leading tackler, and he's just very aggressive. Even when they're engaged in blocks, he still sheds it and makes the play.
On 2nd and about 6, nothing doing. Stop him right, Petway right at the 26. Kithcart up front, the nose tackle. Sophomore from Durham coming over to the sideline.
And that's a tough chore. In that 3-down look, you're playing that 2-gap technique, and you've got to shed at least one blocker, if not the right guard as well, and come off and make that play.
Here they go 3 and out with a punt. Plenty of time again for Stidham. Middle of the field, he's got him. First down, Kyle Davis hangs on, and he's got it to the 44.
And a really good job there. He was patient with that. Huza was right on top of him, but he created a little bit of a window, and he took it and didn't hesitate.
On the outside, good yardage on first down.
Getting back to that pace, that tempo that we saw early in the ball game in that 1st and 2nd series. They kind of got away from it. Something Malzahn harped on in our meeting about they need to get back to.
Good gain of about 7 by Eli Stove. Petway, punished. Going low. Inside the 48, short of the first down by 1.5 yards. Craighead, appropriate last name, and Fleming in on that hit. So now, talk about a huge 3rd down. They only need 1.5 yards, but looking for momentum. A little more than 5 gone in the 3rd.
A little wildcat look with Petway back at quarterback.
Petway will get it and almost breaks it. He's got a first down. They move the chains, and we move downstairs to Gabe Gross. Gabe?
Yeah, one of the goals coming into this game was to get Jarrett Stidham in a rhythm. Well, they've done that. He had a nice first half as far as completion percentages are, but they also want to throw the ball deep 6 to 8 times. They want to try to take the lid off per game. They've really only done it once to Will Hastings right before the half. I'd look for a deep shot here soon.
Now let's see if that's after the play fake, if that's going to be the case. The out is there. Man, it's complete. And out of the hands, but fortunately out of bounds as well after the catch by Ryan Davis. Well, I know it's steamy today.
Right.
I didn't know it was that slippery.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good excuse. Ryan Davis was lined up in the slot. He waited for the post to clear out on the outside, and Stidham waited for him, made a good throw, good pass, good completion.
Gives it to the big back. And taking tacklers for 9. It's Cameron Petway, the junior from Montgomery once again.
And that same play that early in the drive was not going anywhere. You get them a little bit on the vertical passing game. We see how that stretches a defense and makes them think and opens up those running lanes inside in the middle.
Second and a yard. A dangerous pass. And paying for it after the hit by Ahuzo.
Yeah, he got that one
Ryan
get away
Davis.
from him a bit.
Well, you know, Ahuzo's playing the ball and not going low.
Yeah, it was a good play. But Stidham didn't give him much of a chance right there. Looks like they're
back to the Wildcat.
Going to the Wildcat again with Petway. Had some success on that third down.
You load the box
early. They don't look like they're sitting back a little bit. They know it's coming.
Petway, a little counter action on his own. Turns the corner. He's got it. Touchdown, Auburn.
Petway's not a burner. He's a guy that's not going to really threaten you on the edge, but I don't understand, as we talked about, put everybody else you got up on the line of scrimmage, man up your receiver out wide, and don't give him that chance to bounce it.
Yeah, I was surprised.
But a good job by Petway. He kind of pressed that inside hole and bounced it. Didn't know he had it in him.
Carlson for the point after. And some breathing room finally. They started at their own 22. Make it the 23. Officially a 77-yard drive. Petway on the score. And the Tigers on homecoming weekend lead by 14. Welcome back once again. ESPN proud to support college football celebration of educators. It's the Extra Yard for Teachers initiative created by the College Football Playoff Foundation. With more, let's head downstairs to Gabe Gross. Gabe.
Yeah, I had a great teacher when I was a sophomore in high school. Taught me world history, Lamar Helms. He was passionate about the subject. You have to be to teach on that for an hour and a half straight and lecture, but it was still, all the way through my college career, one of the top 3 hardest classes I ever took. He inspired me. I love history to this day.
Don't forget those guys that motivate you. Thanks, Gabe.
Yes, sir.
That's what it boils down to. Daniel Carlson ready to kick it away. And now a 2-touchdown lead for the Auburn Tigers. They've got 4 turnovers. Last time they had 4 turnovers in a game, Ole Miss, back in 2014. So the touchback on the line drive. And Mercer will get it for a 3rd time in the second half. And let's see if they try the middle of the field a little bit more. We saw that one where they threw an inside route, but it wasn't close to the hash mark.
And I talked about it a little bit real briefly, how Slayton, who is their vertical threat, the guy that really can stretch the field for them, he got hurt earlier in the year, only had about 6 or 7 snaps in the game last week, and weren't sure he was going to get any action today, and he didn't. He didn't even suit out. But that's a huge element for them. It's missing on the Auburn side, but yeah, for Mercer, we really need to see more of that. They're doing that same deke and dunk in their passing game. You need to try to find that vertical threat, that vertical element.
Chris tossed to leg it, but sideline to sideline. Brian, this is one of the quickest defensive units in college football, as Matthews is over there.
Yeah, it's hard to work the edge on an Auburn defense. We saw that last week in Clemson, just flying around, just out of control, playing just big boy football. Last week, a little bit stagnant in the first half of this football game, but we talked about that endurance, being able to wear away on Mercer, which looks like what's happening now.
We're halfway through the 3rd quarter of play. If you joined us a little bit late, this Auburn defense 8th in the nation coming in, giving up only 10 points a contest. A battle with the linebacker Deshaun Davis all over the play as soon as the running back got it. And Leggett did a good job just to scramble for about 3 up to the 30. That's how tough it has been going between the tackles. And multiple substitutions defensively because of the steam. It is a warm, muggy day in Auburn, Alabama. But Kevin Steele told us that they'll play 11 up front on the defensive front alone. Now can they get 5? It's behind the intended target, Chandler Curtis. You can't blame the quarterback because there was heat coming right away.
They had heat and they were man coverage. These receivers from Mercer just seem stifled. They can't get any separation when Auburn gets up into their faces in that press coverage with Javaris Davis on one side and Carlton Davis on the other, and really 2 guys in the middle like Jeremiah Denson and Jamal Dean. Guys that are just very, very good at what they do and what they're asked to do by Kevin Steele. It's a tall order. You don't have that luxury of having 4 guys who can cover that well, but they do that, and these Mercer receivers just don't have an answer for it.
And Mercer now has to use a timeout on a punt.
Timeout, Mercer.
Well, Mercer talks about things they do in the offseason to prepare their guys, and they have a 5th quarter, which is each coach is allowed to bring in a speaker, and this is during camp in practice, and the presentation with that speaker. But this year they did something different.
Yeah, bringing in, letting their coaches do the speaking, and using a book by Urban Meyer about how to coach, play football.
About life in general.
Yeah, different element to it instead of bringing somebody outside the program who doesn't know what's going on. I think it's an interesting twist.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and certainly like we were talking about with Bobby Landon, what he's trying to do with these young men. It's not about football. It's about trying to mold and shape them and the character that they have as they go out into the world after they graduate.
It's a great idea. Low line drive returnable. Roberts tries to get to it, but wisely stays away now. It'll die at about the 27. So Auburn will have it at the 27-yard line. Do they have it under control, though? We'll find out with 6:29 left in the 3rd. Auburn gets it right back as we welcome you back on homecoming weekend. 17-3 lead for the Tigers. We check in once again with Gabe Gross. Gabe?
Get a quick update on Darius James. They took him to Southeast Alabama Medical Center, did a CT scan. The CT scan came back negative. So at least in the long term, it looks like he'll be good to go.
Great news. Our prayers have been answered. Thank you, Gabe. That's great news. We'll update you on that as well in a moment. Battle and, well, the wide receiver won the battle, but didn't hang on to the football, did he? And it got out of the hands of Nate Craig Myers. So working against the corner Cam Lott, the junior from Jacksonville. If you joined us a little bit late, the right tackle Darius James, the senior from Killeen, Texas, went down in the middle of the 2nd quarter for the Auburn Tigers and did not move. They put him on a board, carted off the field, but that's the best news of the day that we just got from Gabe Gross. Pursuit down the sideline to track and take away Devin Barrett with his speed on the outside. And an outstanding play once again out of the secondary. And that was Otiwu, a redshirt freshman from Buford, Georgia. It'll be 3rd and 5. Pressure, extra rusher, and thrown behind, but what a grab. Didn't know if he'd take it in. Craig Myers has it. Nate Craig Myers, Dade City, Florida, who played in every game last year as a true freshman.
Yeah, went with that zone blitz again, bringing pressure right up the middle. Picked it up this time, no sack. And Craig Myers does a good job of one hand in it.
Bedway just lugs it across the midfield stripe for about 4. 5.5 and counting, left in the 3rd. And let's see if they do try to open things up, though. And I'm talking about downfield. And Gabe brought it up that they want 6 or 8 verticals and good throws. Deep throws. Nifty maneuvering. Bandit Stove on the outside. Van Eli's got good yardage. So he made the most of the short toss. Capitalizes all the way down to the 26, making it 28.
Statistically, that'll come up as a 15-plus yard gain on paper. But it's a short 10-yard throw. It has the same effect.
Held on to it and taken away. Craig Myers thought he had it, but picked off by Cam Lott. That was a 50-50 ball.
Yes, and those are the ones they've got to go up and make. He telegraphs this, locks onto it immediately to the left side, and Lott does a good job of jumping it, taking his chance that he wasn't going to pull it down. And Craig Myers just kind of sits back, doesn't know he's coming, needs to close in there, and that reduce the distance between him and the quarterback. You never want to stop working back to the football as a receiver.
5 turnovers, the most since a game back at the start of the 2012 season against Arkansas. We know how good that year was. Maybe it's an omen, as bad as it's been with all those turnovers for Auburn, but don't forget 12-2 in the 2012 season of the BCS title game. Toss underneath will not do much. It's Curtis, Chandler Curtis, on the grab. Another guy out of Calhoun, Georgia. That's produced a ton of players. And, of course, Mercer in Macon, Georgia. So it's a loss of a couple. Yeah, you can't do this in SEC play and get away with it. Auburn's going to be at Mizzou next week, a road game. Leggett.
Missouri was having trouble earlier today with Purdue, just getting pounded earlier in that ball game.
Their defense is suspect.
Yes. Yeah, they're a late addition to that SEC, but over in the East, and you just can't get away with not having a defense in this conference. It just doesn't work well.
And Lake's actually on the carry, not Leggett, 27-7. But not easy against this defense.
They just don't have an answer. Their wide receivers can't create any openings, and they're trying that horizontal passing game that's just only so effective against the speed of Auburn.
A lot of time. A receiver underneath has got it, and it's complete for the first down. It is Edmund Graham, true freshman, and make it Irvin instead, who made the grab. Marquise Irvin from Huntsville.
Yeah, Daniel Thomas, number 24, their nickel. Seems like he just lost sight of where his receiver was when he ran the out route in the midst of that trips formation, the inside guy. And obviously, Riley doing a good job of putting it in there for the big game. They needed the third down conversion. Haven't had many of those.
No. Nothing there for Lakes. Alex Lakes, the senior, who started the season close to right at 2,300 yards rushing with 28 touchdowns on the ground. But Lakes at the same time giving way a little bit to T. Mitchell and C.J. Leggett, the 2 juniors. He's coming over to the sideline. It looks like they're going empty for the. Is this the first time today we've seen empty?
Yeah, we haven't seen that all night. Kind of spreading them out a little bit. It looks like Auburn's going to sit back in a 2-deep zone and just kind of play it out at second and 9.
A little bit behind the wide receiver, but Curtis, and then a flag late. And will it be a hold over on the left side of the offensive line? Threw close to the left tackle, Marchman. Quarterback was pounded as well.
I like that, though. Recognizing the zone, taking that inside hook route. Almost enough for the first down. A quick, clean throw.
That's short of the first down as they discussed it. It's up to the 44.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on the defense. Penalty is 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
Yeah, flag looked a little deep to be holding.
Right. Ooh, up to the helmet, up to the head.
Yeah, hand to the helmet.
That was Dontavius Russell.
And really, in a technical sense, defenseless player to the head and neck area. Lucky maybe he doesn't get called for more than just that.
And now from the 41. Minute 38 and counting left in the third. Could make it very interesting as T. Mitchell has taken over in the backfield. Curtis, motion man. Good deception and available. T. Mitchell out of the backfield. First and 10 inside the 20, down to the 17. Well, they gave him a number of different options and looks.
I like that. The little late cross, a little jet sweep fake on the play action, and Auburn's eye discipline got a little bit lax right there as they got pulled with the sweep and left the deep drag route open. And Riley does a good job of laying it in there. No one to contest it. Easy throw, easy catch to continue the drive and threaten this Auburn defense.
It's the best drive of the game. Most sustained drive of the game is Lakes. Gets a couple. Man on his back as soon as he took it in. Take him down to the 15-yard line. It was Denson on his back. So this is the longest and the best drive of the day.
Made a couple of nice third down conversions, big third down conversions. Nice calls on the getting the ball down the field. We look at Casey Vaught, the offensive coordinator, and I talked about it all game long, the originality that they've used in their play calling and even going deeper into the bag late in this game on some third down calls that are very effective.
Weaving his way up the middle. Nice run by Lakes down to the 11. So going to a fresher running back now, because don't forget it was T. Mitchell early and Leggett. That may be and it will be final play of the third. What an impressive run. After going down by 14, Mercer, FCS out of the Southern Conference, trying to make some noise here on homecoming weekend at Auburn. Still through 3, it's the Tigers by 14. Welcome back once again to Auburn. It's not been a clean homecoming game over 3 quarters, Brian.
No, it hasn't been, and they have turnovers on that first half, and we thought that that reel was kind of long. This one gets longer because it's mounted now to 5 turnovers on the night. And we had these on the offensive side, and then now in special teams, ball comes loose again. And then the interception at the end with Cam Lott on Craig Myers. Too many mistakes.
Leggett on the first snap of the fourth with a crucial third down conversion. So C.J. Leggett, little guy at 5'9", 215, back in there.
And going back to those turnovers, you look at what happened last week with the sacks against Clemson, 11 sacks, and now the turnovers. You know, there's only so many fingers you can put in the holes that are in the dam to hold it together.
Leggett. Early whistle. Man, he was still moving his feet, not even wrapped up.
It looked like he had a chance there.
And it took away a couple of yards, so they stopped him outside of the 6, where he took it down to the 5. It's interesting. First year, 4 years under Gus Malzahn here. Auburn has averaged 450 yards and 34 points a game. They came in 106th nationally in offense after the first 2 weeks of the new season. And today they've moved the football. It's looked good between the 20s. They've just given it away 5 times. 11th play of the drive coming up from Mercer. Their longest sustained drive of the day. It'll be 2nd and goal outside of the 6.
Auburn's loading up in the middle there.
And no flag. Tried to get it to Marquise Urban.
Yeah,
back shoulder.
Like miscommunication. I don't think Urban knew what was going on. Looked like he was engaging in a run block. Right on the edge there. And Riley, their quarterback, had a different thought.
So starting deep in their own territory. 76 yards already. But can they get the final 6? Don't need 3 at this point. Early in the 4th.
Timeout. Mercer, their second.
That is the 2nd timeout of the 2nd half used by Mercer. Find out what they do on 3rd and goal. Don't forget, it's 7 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday. The SEC Network grants you an all-access pass to South Carolina football. Their matchup with the Wildcats. You'll get never-before-seen footage, sounds from pregame to postgame. It's SEC Inside, presented by Regions Bank on the SEC Network, streaming live as well on the ESPN app. Drive started back at the 17. Now 3rd and goal for Kalen Riley. 3rd game. Redshirt freshman from Calhoun, Georgia. Composed young man. Now on the slant. Got it. Touchdown. He finds Irvin.
Well, they like to isolate him on that backside by himself. Put the 2 and 3 receivers on the other side. He was upset with himself in the last play because he had a miscommunication on the fade route. And he was banging his hands up against his helmet. He obviously went back to the boundary and talked to coach into giving him another chance on the slant route. Did a very good job against Carlton Davis, one of their best cover corners, and beat him on the slant route. And a nice throw by Riley to finish off the score. Now it's a 7-point game again after this extra point here, Joel.
This is a big one. Cole Fisher in. Didn't miss one last year. Trying to make it a 7-point contest. And he's got it. And we've got a game. Not even 90 seconds into the fourth, they are stunned in Auburn, Alabama. Homecoming weekend, but don't tell Marquise Irvin, Kalen Riley, and the Mercer Bears anything about it. 7-point game all of a sudden. Auburn, 15th ranked team of the nation, getting everything, well, not exactly what they wanted. Put the ball on the ground, that's what happened. Mercer down by only 7. It has been a dog day afternoon already in college football. UNLV knocked off Baylor, upset by Liberty. And how about Northern Illinois going into Nebraska? The black shirts.
That's the big one on that board right there.
That's wild. And will it be the case here on homecoming weekend at Auburn? Fisher will kick it away. Cam Martin over to the far side. And the squib is going to be taken by one of the up men at about the 30. And good job hanging on to it, Spencer Nye. As we check in downstairs with Gabe Gross. Gabe?
Guys, it's very businesslike over here on the Auburn sideline. There's just not a ton of energy. Nobody looks like they're depressed. Everybody's just very businesslike. In fact, Gus Malzahn just walked down to quarterback Jared Stidham and just lightly tapped him on the shoulder and said, all right, let's go.
Well, Stidham efficiently, 289 yards. He was picked on the last series, though. He's 25 of 30. But they haven't exactly gone deep downfield on those 25 completions. Bouncing around, but only past the 30, up to the 31-yard line. It's Petway. So much for the injury to Petway during the week. He's been a workaholic.
Yeah, he's gotten the, if not the majority of the load, all of the load.
That's his 23rd carry of the game for 97 yards.
Yeah, outside of Stidham, I don't know that anybody else has carried the football.
Make it 24 for 100 after that carry. Jet, and they'll give it to Davis. Bouncing and weaving. Man, hit from behind at the 35. Ryan Davis, the junior from St. Petersburg. So they're looking at a 3rd and 3 all of a sudden.
Eric Jackson, number 17 for Mercer, their strong safety, did an excellent job of not only making the tackle in the open field, but getting to the tackle with some little east-west movement of himself and maybe shutting it down and putting him in a
middle of the field available. Man, a jolt on Petway as he took it in. That hurt from here.
Yeah, he got popped in that lower back area.
Oh, that's I mean, talk about shock.
Ripple effect right there.
Petway's got a 100-yard game, his 8th of his career. They go quickly to the line for Petway, and he gets about 4. Give him past the 44. And this is when they have succeeded, when they have wasted no time to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they've been quick about it. This is only their 3rd possession of the second half. Really haven't had a chance to wear down Mercer much, and you're seeing that defensively. They still have a lot of energy, and they're playing really hard, especially in that run game. They're not going to be shoved aside that easily.
It's Davis. Breaks the first tackle. As he's knocked down, he should have enough, and he will, for the first down close to the 48. So from their own 28 up to the 48 very quickly with rhythm.
I say you take a shot here.
They say Petway. And a short gain inside the 45. Do you feel like you leave an opponent around when you don't take shots downfield like we're talking about, long throws?
They've tried a few, but they just haven't been overly effective. And when you are effective, it gives the defense just a different mindset of knowing that we cannot play that aggressive up in front of us. We have to make sure that we keep what's behind us covered. But Auburn just hasn't been able to do that, and that's kind of the secret element that they have to be able to do. Over the years, fans have been screaming to see more vertical passing game, and Chip Lindsey was supposed to be the answer to that.
Stidham again dumps it to his back, and Petway never hit the dirt. Smart play by Petway because Bennett got him, but he never was on the ground. He was on Bennett and gets a couple of extra yards inside the 35.
Nice and quick to the line of scrimmage.
And the kick out, Davis on the outside. Good recovery from behind by LaMarcus Bailey. But a flag on the play. And is it a pick play?
It's not a question of is it. It's a question of he got caught trying to block prior to it.
Holding on the offense, number 80. Penalty is 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Replay, first down.
That's on Canelo, the wideout.
You don't see offensive holding very often. Obviously a run play in a sense that they get it out wide.
That'll slow you down. Well, this is the 12th drive of the day. Well, the one thing that stands out more than anything else, the fumbles, the interception, 5 giveaways.
Yeah, coming off that one we talked about last week where they didn't have any against Clemson, and you'd think a much more dominant defense, but that hasn't been the case here tonight. Mercer has been relentless in pulling those balls out and being aggressive in the passing game.
Spot foul to the point of the infraction that makes it now 1st and 18. Good pocket protection. Stidham behind him. He's got it anyway, though. Inside the 10. 1st and goal for Kyle Davis. All the way down to the 5. So it's been an up and down day, and more down than up for Kyle Davis with a couple of fumbles that time.
Yeah, the deep over route had a double crossing route, and Stidham was able to wait on it. He's had a lot more time to throw the football this week, and he's taken advantage of it.
Petway slowed down at the line, but still got a couple out of it. Give him credit. It looked like Kit Cart had him right at the line. He's down to inside the 3. It'll be 2nd and goal from there.
Yeah, late flag. Somebody didn't do something that was sportsmanlike in there. Way too late to have happened during the play.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 85 on the offense.
There you have it.
Penalty is 15 yards. It'll be 2nd down.
And so we talk about turnovers.
First unsportsmanlike conduct foul.
And those are costly mistakes as well.
Yeah, those penalties right there, the ones where you're giving yardage, is not good. That's their tight end, who we've been wondering why we haven't seen him more in the red zone, and that might be an indication of why not. And Gus Malzahn said that we get the ball to our playmakers, and the tight ends need to do a better job of displaying that at practice, and certainly not doing that during the course of the football game.
It's Petway on the misdirection. Boy, backer went low, didn't he, Kyle Williams?
He's done that all night.
Williams got him.
He's going at the ankles and the waist. He does not leave anything in the bag.
You're going to go. You're not going around me. You're going over me. It'll be.
You got to love that aggressiveness and that style. That's what you need to look for in a linebacker.
3rd and goal. Huge play. A lot of time for the quarterback. He extends the play.
Oh, they got him holding the football.
And then there should be a late flag on the far side, but there isn't. Boy, they knocked the quarterback down way out of bounds.
Casey Dunn, their center, who's replacing
Austin Golson went over to right tackle.
The starter who went to right tackle. Man, he had a little bit of a grip on it. Really didn't affect the play much, but that referee was right on top of it. And he just couldn't resist to grab that flag and throw it.
Now, here's the interesting determination for Bobby Lamb and his staff.
Holding on the offense, number 50. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Okay, so they aren't going to take the yardage. And I bring that up because it would have made it a long field goal try if they don't convert on 3rd and goal from way back. Instead, it's going to be at the 9. And to go up by more than 1 touchdown, it'll be a 26-yard attempt, which should be automatic for Daniel Carlson.
Yeah, with a little over 9 minutes, you're going to put them up by 10, and Mercer only has 10 on the board right now. Smart decision.
He's already got one today. That was a short one. And he hooked it and missed it. Do you believe it? Bobby Lamb does. This is incredible.
Wow.
This is hard to believe.
That's incredible. We saw. Yes. That's just not something you expect from a guy like him.
The nightmare on homecoming Saturday afternoon continues for the Auburn Tigers. Mercer gets it right back, and welcome back to Auburn after a missed 26-yard field goal. And here's the dangerous part of the sideline. And our best right now, one of the members of the crew working the chain gang over there, going down as they continue to look at him. On 1st down, nothing there. It's Leggett. And a loss of about 4. So they're still tending to that gentleman, and our thoughts are with him right now. So Ed Thrash being attended to. And it's the whiplash, the back of your head hitting the turf. And we saw Petway take a shot. That whiplash. These are young men who are in great and in great shape. Loss of 4 on first. Riley moving the pocket and wide of Curtis. Dinson has been so good over the last couple of weeks for them. Jeremiah Dinson, the sophomore from Miami. And boy, did he show up on film last week. Just like we talked about Matthews and Carlton Davis, the secondary is exceptional for Auburn.
Yeah, they've given up a couple of plays against Mercer, especially that last drive, and that's a 2nd and 12 call. And even if you complete that ball, you're only getting 3 or 4 yards. And now it puts in a really impossible situation, 3rd and 12. They've had an answer the last couple of times on the previous drive. Need to pull another one out of the hat for offensive coordinator Casey Vaught.
Trips on the wide side of the field. Heat from the outside. Batted back into the face. And getting there, it was Derek Brown. We documented him at the top of the telecast. The sophomore from Sugar Hill, Georgia. A couple of sacks over the first 2 games. And boy, there was heat from the outside and then pressure right in your face.
Yeah, man coverage. Rushing up the middle. Derek Brown, the guy we talked about in the open. Young sophomore, 6'5". When he puts his hands up, it's a nice wingspan he's got. And gets his hands on the football.
He's huge. They have some massive guys that can really run. Low wobbler. Roberts coming up to get it. Great field position as he's pushed around. Got to about the 40. So Stephen Roberts, Uncle Mike, a running back here for the Tigers at Auburn. And dropped by Kyle Trammell. It'll be at the 41. So Auburn starting in Mercer territory for the first time this afternoon. Seven-point game. Auburn gets it back, and they've got great field position despite what has developed so far this afternoon. And they may get something there because Trammell led with his helmet. And they're reviewing that right now upstairs, Brian, to see if it's going to be targeting and a potential ejection.
That's answering both of the criteria for targeting. Not only is it head and neck area, defenseless player, even though he's running, he's unseen. He comes in, he uses the crown of the helmet.
Yep.
And really,
he launched himself.
He launched himself.
Right.
He wasn't airborne when he made contact, but it just looks like that was the intention. And granted, you can't judge intention, so they just go by the strict letter of the law of how it works. And more than likely, he won't be seen again here today.
No, and fortunately, and you could see the coaches at Auburn recognized that right away, because when Stephen Roberts came over to the sideline, they all wanted to make sure he was okay.
Right.
And he let them know, I'm okay. And they appreciated his efforts. But you could tell, even before we got word that it was going to be reviewed, and the crown of the helmet, is this the definition of targeting? Ooh. That's a dangerous jolt to the side of the head.
Booth review for targeting. Number 52 of Mercer is disqualified for using the crown of his helmet. That penalty is 15 yards from the spot. First down, Auburn.
Take it down to the 26. So that's where they'll start this drive. But there's no question.
And I understand being. I mean, I was never a defensive player, only in high school, and you know that's a tough order. You're asked to be aggressive and to tackle players, and sometimes you get out of position, you get caught. That one was a little tough to think that he got caught out of position.
Right, because he took a couple of steps.
Yeah, he saw the returner and really had a choice to be able to use his shoulder pad or his helmet, and he chose the wrong one. That's why the rule's in place.
The safety of the individuals and a good rule. Petway, good play, down low. And once again,
we have seen him.
Yeah, LaMarcus Bailey's
everywhere.
been all over it.
He is unbelievable.
He came back last year after he missed all of 2015, Brian, with an injury.
Well, they say he was versatile, but I mean, he makes every stop, and it doesn't matter who it is and where it is. I am really impressed with what he's been able to do tonight against this Auburn football team.
2nd and 9. Padway on the slight delay. Off balance and diving down inside the 22. Now you want to use as much clock. I know they want to play with pace and tempo, but if you can get a field goal, not even any points here, make it a 2-score game.
Well, we talked about it earlier today about, yeah, you have a game plan going in, but when it comes to preserving victory, you have to tweak it a little bit.
Manage
we need
the
to see
game.
the ball on the ground. Don't give them any opportunities.
Wide open. Good pursuit and a good tackle. But it was another first down.
And that's a nice conversion, a nice call. You move the quarterback out of the pocket and get him running. Take the open receiver on the 5-6 yard completion for the first down. We really haven't seen that all night. It's the first time we've really seen him move.
Clock moving inside of 6.5 left. Fake the jet. Padway. At about 3, almost 4. Down to the 11. So just want to chew the clock. Ultimate get into the end zone on a short field where it started at the 26. Hard to believe that this is the very first time today, after all these possessions, they had 7, now 11. 11 possessions. This is the first time they started in Mercer territory with a drive.
Well, they've punted the ball twice. You think that would mean a lot of numbers on the board.
No, the wrong numbers. 5 turnovers.
Right.
Misdirection. Padway. They influenced it with the jet the other way and the quarterback the other way.
But what can't get lost in this whole equation, Joel, is that you can say the turnovers, but those were forced turnovers. Mercer did a great job on 3 of those 4 fumbles, pulling that football
Scraping
out.
it away.
And then that interception by Lott, he just jumped the football. He read the play, jumped the football. So Mercer, you got to credit Mercer for those turnovers. It wasn't just Auburn giving it to him.
Padway. The Wildcats tripped up, and he's got a 1st and goal down to the 4. But chewing up precious seconds for Mercer in a 7-point game. So just playing this close to an upset. Pretty amazing by the Bears of Mercer, considering how deep an underdog they were coming in point-wise. Padway again. Breaking tackles. He's in. Touchdown Auburn. It's a career best for Padway, 3rd score of the day.
And that's what makes him different. He's a north-south guy, and Kyle Williams, the linebacker, the outside linebacker, and Malik Fleming, the free safety, both had a shot at him and missed him. And sheer determination gets him into the end zone and more or less seals this, but Mercer's still going to have a chance. A couple of shots with 4:50 left in the game.
Timeout. Auburn. They're first.
It's interesting. Padway, we were told, came in a little bit nicked up. Maybe he should always be that nicked up. 34 carries. Been a workaholic today. Is there a reason still to be concerned, though, for this offense? Because it's not like they had big plays, explosive plays. They were very methodical the way they handled it. They have 515 yards of total offense. So do the numbers lie a little bit when you say 515? That's impressive. 5 turnovers took away points, and they'd have more than 23, potentially 24 on the board. But for Gus Malzahn, who's been a really good offensive coach here at Auburn, do they still have concerns? Because we have not seen the vertical passing game, have we?
Oh, I think there's I wouldn't say major concerns, but certainly as you get into the meat of their schedule in that SEC West, you know, these are not things. And even though it's against Clemson, it's still 11 sacks.
That's too many.
And the turnovers, you know, if you put the Mercer name up there, it's just hard. That's very difficult, especially for a head coach who's an offensive-minded guy. He brings in a new guy to transform this offense. You have a quarterback who's transferred over to try to be able to come in and be a savior for this football team, and it just hadn't materialized in the last 3 weeks.
So breathing room once again for the Auburn Tigers, but is it enough with 4:50 to play? We'll find out. They are some of the most loyal fans in all of college football. They're hanging around. It's homecoming weekend. Despite the roller coaster ride that the Tigers have had today. Welcome back once again. Joel Myers, Brian Kinchin, Gabe Gross downstairs. And what a weekend to be on the Auburn campus. And I want to thank Jay Jacobs and his entire staff here at Auburn, making us feel so welcome. It has been that good.
And I've never been here. I played at LSU for 5 years back in the 80s, and we never got to play Auburn. Didn't even have them at our own stadium. So for me, it's a first-time trip, and it was a very enjoyable one.
Beautiful campus. Absolutely beautiful campus. Keep it in the end zone, and Mercer will get it once again at their own 25. 3 and out with the punt. When it was a 7-point game, don't forget that Auburn defense did what they had to do. Mercer, last possession of their own 20, 3 and out. So what does Bobby Lamb have in store for us now? Give a lot of credit to these guys, their entire staff, the players, the plan.
Yeah, they've played hard. They've hung in there. We thought maybe that Auburn, the size they had and the lack of depth, especially on Mercer's side of the defensive side of the football, that they would wear them down and be able to score at will, but that hadn't been the case, and they've hung in there. The turnovers have obviously helped, but they've made those turnovers happen.
They're going to have some success in the Southern Conference. Low and away, trying to get it outside. So it falls incomplete, trying to get it to Tucker Cannon.
And they had success in those deep crossing routes a couple of possessions ago on that last touchdown drive. And they need to get back to it. They probably don't have the time that they had earlier. Auburn's a little more aggressive, staying in man coverage, either spying or bringing pressure up the middle with their linebackers. I'd try to get back to that deep crossing route.
Riley, he'll take it just short of the first down of the 33. What about this experience, though, for Kalen Riley against a school like Auburn and the speed of the Tigers' defensive unit?
He has a redshirt freshman, only a year removed from high school, to be able to walk into this stadium and put up a really good performance, put up 10 points against an Auburn defense that no one would have thought that would be possible, and to sustain drives of 12 plays or so to score.
Need 2. Rolling down just short of the first down, I believe. Is Leggett, or Megan Lakes rather. He's about a foot shy of where he needed to go. So clock moving inside of 4 minutes left. Got to believe they're going to go for it now.
No question about that. They're going to try to keep it alive, give themselves some type of a hope. But I really do like the play calling. Casey Vaught did a very good job tonight moving the football. Just a little too much for him in the end.
So 3.5 to play. About a foot and a half. Drive stays alive. Just barely getting there. And how about the pinch from the outside? That was Thomas coming in for Auburn. Big time play by Daniel Thomas.
And Coach Lamb said they would get under center. I don't know why they wouldn't have there on 4th and 1. Get that downhill run game working. Not real a big fan of the 4-yard snap backwards when you only need 1 yard to hand it off that deep. But they converted and stayed alive.
Fake the jet, go to the jet man, in fact. And boy, that was a tough yard or two.
Yeah, got to get out of bounds there.
Right.
Got to know the situation. It seems a little bit tough to be able to pull off, but nonetheless, you get out of bounds, stop the clock, give yourself as much time as you possibly can. Just a little bit of a situational awareness.
Gonna be second. Second and about 4. On a jump ball, boy, they were all tangled up. The completion goes to Irvin.
We have seen that all night from him.
And both guys, hands all over each other.
And even though he's not getting separation, he still comes down with the football.
Pass interference on the defense, number 22. Penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
John Broussard, sophomore from Phoenix City, Alabama. So they're going deep. We talked about the depth of the Auburn defense. Well, and they go very deep into their routes.
We had heard about the Auburn receivers talking about going up and getting that 50-50 ball, and that's all we've seen tonight, especially from Irvin. He's done a good job, and he's been handcuffed all night by coverage. Got a few penalties thrown on him, but he comes down with the football.
And now going deep, batted away at the last second, looking for Curtis. Had a good play defensively on that side by Trayvon Leonard, true freshman from West Palm Beach.
Yeah, getting some of their young guys in at corner, and look how his head comes back. Exactly what you need to do if you don't turn that head. And especially on a short ball, you're going to get pass interference every time. It's nice to see, especially out of the young guys. True freshman, straight out of high school, West Palm Beach, playing it really, really good. And we talked about that philosophy of Kevin Steele of loading, of reloading, getting ready for those guys who are going to move on into the next level. And you've got to have guys to be able to put in and not rebuild, just continue on.
Second down underneath to the tight end. They tried to scrape and rip it away from him. Did a good job of the gain of 9 down to the 21 as it's taken in by Walker.
Yeah, Walker was really active early in that football game. 5 receptions, but never saw much of him in between then. Thought we would see more of him. He seemed a big part of the game plan. But tight ends aren't really going to stretch the field for you, are they, Joel?
No. As much as we love them.
Well, I do
anyway. Can't get out of the backfield. There's the penetration once again. Moultrie in there early.
Yes.
So loss of about 5. It'll be 4th down and final timeout being used by Mercer. Well, our day of college football, don't go anywhere. It's going to continue with our SEC Saturday night games, all presented by Holiday Inn Express. Kentucky matching up the Gamecocks at William Bryce Stadium at 7:30 Eastern. And on the SEC Network alternate channel, we'll have Samford between the hedges in Athens going up against the 13th ranked Bulldogs. Go to secnetwork.com/channel. Both are also streaming live on the ESPN app. So we get ready for 4th and 5 from Mercer. And we also remind you that thousands affected by Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Harvey, they need your support right now. Help the American Red Cross provide meals, shelter to these families. Donate today. You can go to redcross.org/ESPN. Once again, that's www.redcross.org/ESPN. So now it's going to be 4th and 5. Never know. Keep it alive. Get a score. Auburn calls a timeout now, and get an onside kick. But you've got to advance it 5 yards at least, and it's not going to be easy against the defensive unit. Monday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. The latest Thinking Out Loud, all presented by Regions Bank with Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears. They're going to talk about all the football news of this weekend, both sides of the ball. Want your participation via social media, live call-ins throughout the show. It's available, and it's streaming live on the ESPN app. That's Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern, the latest Thinking Out Loud with McElroy and Spears. So what's been cooking in the SEC? Well, Florida had their streak of 11 straight over Tennessee snapped last year. They recovered and win this year. There's been heat in Florida. Wow. Just told that Florida scored on a 63-yard touchdown with time off the board.
How about A&M trailing
at the half?
At the halftime, 21-14.
Now, can they get 5? No. There's pressure on Riley. Pressure as soon as Irvin caught it, and that'll do it. Minute 10 to play. Auburn will get it back and run out the clock. So Auburn did a lot of things well, but they're going to look at the turnovers and the missed opportunities more than anything else, Brian. That is going to be what they look back at. And we always talk about it. Some coaches call them splash plays, explosive plays, whatever they might be, of 20 or more.
Right.
That is still needed for this offensive unit.
And they did get a few of them here tonight, but a lot of them were just 10, 15-yard throws in that horizontal passing game that I like to call it. where they turned them into plays that they were 15, 20 yards, but really not being able to have that dynamic, that downfield threat in the passing game. As we talk about Slayton being hurt, they've got to find somebody who's going to be able to be that guy, and might have to look to their young receivers.
Stidham, very efficient, 364 throwing, as he was 32 of 37. Most of it underneath stuff, as you had mentioned. Coming up next, and Missouri is down to the fourth quarter to Purdue, 35-3. So Auburn goes into Columbia for the first time, as we found out yesterday. Going into Mizzou, that's next Saturday. Mississippi State at home, Ole Miss back-to-back. And then how about this stretch? LSU, Arkansas, and A&M all on the road.
That's a tough one. How does that even happen, really? That's kind of seems unfair in the SEC West.
Last snap of homecoming 2017, and it turns out to be a successful one for the Auburn Tigers. So they win in their first matchup with Mercer since 1922. It helped that Mercer didn't have a team for 72 years. But still a W after the disappointment last week. They win it by 14. They lose last week to Clemson, but Clemson's going to get the best of a lot of teams this year. So as we get ready to wrap things up, and what an experience for that young man, Kalen Riley. Let's head downstairs now and check in with Gabe.
Coach, obviously a kind of an ugly game with turnover-wise, but when you needed it, your defense came up with a stop. You were able to pound the ball in the end zone. What did you learn about your team today?
Well, it was tough going. There's no doubt it was sloppy, and the turnovers are unacceptable. We would have had a good day without the turnovers. We got to correct that, but our defense played well, and they punched it in at the end and got a victory. So, we're 2-1 now, and we'll move on to SEC play.
An efficient day for Jarrett Stidham at quarterback. Obviously, a lot of the passing yards, over 350. Evaluate him.
Yeah, I thought he got better. He did some good things. He protected the football other than that one down there at the end right there. But just needs more experience, and he's going to be a good one.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Guys.
Thanks, Gabe. He's got a good arm. There's no question. He's got a big arm. Now he's got to get it downfield a little bit deeper, as we mentioned before. Auburn wins it homecoming weekend 24-10 for Brian Kinchin, Gabe Gross. I'm Joel Myers. Thanks for joining us in Auburn, Alabama. Don't go anywhere, though. Coming up next, we're headed to the studio. It's SEC Now. We join Dari Noka, Gene Chizik, and Chris Dory. Guys,